I told my dad to never speak to me again the day my son died. Posted in True Off My Chest and Am I the A-Hole? Background post posted on November 5th, 2023. And this is the Am I the A-Hole? It's titled, Am I the A-Hole for not allowing my dad to see his grandchild for Christmas? My 30 female dad, male 57, invited us for Christmas this year. And usually this has not been a problem for us to attend since he only lives 1 hour away. But he just bought a new house, which is 3 hours away by car, which turns out to be a bit of an issue for us for the following reasons. We have a 15-month-old son, and last time we visited my dad for a day trip, my son was inconsolable the entire way, just wanting to get out of his car seat. This means another 6 hours to look forward to driving back and forward to my dad's house, and just thinking about that makes me stressed out for my son. We do not have a car. We live in a city that doesn't require it, and we bike and take public transport. This means we will have to rent a car to get there, which is incredibly expensive in our country. We do not have a travel bed for my son, who still needs to sleep in a crib for safety reasons. My dad does not have a crib in his house. This means we need to go out and buy a crib just to use it one time in my dad's house. As a solution, I offered that we could celebrate Christmas at our place, but my dad, who has a car and no small children, refuses without giving any reasons. I told my dad that for my son's sake and for our sanity's sake, we cannot attend Christmas in his house this year. This has left him very upset, claiming that I am keeping his grandchild from him and that family should stay together at Christmas. Just for info, in my country, Christmas and opening presents is in the evening, which is why we would have to stay for the night. The one thing I'm unclear about is who are the other players in this story? Like, does your dad have a wife and or your mom in the picture? Like, does she have a say? Is she just going along with what's going on? Do you have any siblings? Like, not that that would really change my opinion too much, but it would make me more understanding of things. Like, for example, if you had a big family, I could kind of understand him not wanting to celebrate Christmas at your place, especially if, like, for example, maybe your place isn't very accommodating to guests. Maybe you guys live in somewhere small. But once again, that's info that I would like to know, and that, like, I don't really think changes my whole verdict, but it definitely changes how much I blame people. Like, if your dad lives alone and you don't have any siblings, then yeah, bro needs to fucking travel to you guys. And he needs to understand that, like, yeah, Christmas is way better when family can make it, but you also have to understand as family gets older, there's gonna be more reasons why they can't make it to holidays and things like that. I think the final verdict on this is not the a-hole, very, very, very clearly, but I just want more info on, like, the entire dynamic to understand kind of like what's going on, really. Sounds like a job for Benadryl. Can you give babies Benadryl? I mean, either way, like, even just making them pay for renting a car and it doesn't sound like they have money coming out of their ears and they have a newborn baby, like, that just to me seems ridiculous. We have another background post, February 27, 2024, 3.5 months later. There is a trigger warning for childhood SA. So if you don't want to hear that, tune out for a little bit. The title is, Am I the A-hole for not forgiving my parents' reaction to me being SA'd as a child? When I, 30 female, was 6 to 11 years old, I was SA'd by my maternal grandfather. I never told my parents while it was going on, since I simply did not understand what was going on, and I didn't know it was wrong. It was never intercourse, but a lot of inappropriate touching, mostly him telling me to touch his private parts. Ugh. At least that is what I remember. It all stopped when my grandfather died when I was 11. Good. Glad he died. I kept what happened a secret to my family for a long time. I think it was a mix of shame and fear that kept me from saying the truth. But when I turned 16, I finally gathered up the courage and told them. I told my mom first, as she was always the one I could talk to about sensitive subjects. But to my shock and dismay, her first reaction was disbelief. She simply could not understand how her dad, who was a well-loved figure in our family, could do such a thing. In quotations, he never abused me, she said. She also told me she would talk to my dad about it, so I assumed she did. And just for clarification, my dad meaning OP's dad and the mother's husband. Fast forward 3 weeks after, I bring up what happened in a conversation with my dad, and he is immediately shocked. Turns out my mom never told him. This progresses into a fight between my parents, and after that day, it was never spoken of again. I mean, what a just fucking brutal reaction from the people who are supposed to help you heal from situations where you didn't feel safe, and it turned into them making it about themselves. Insane, bro. My mom later passed away from cancer. Okay, that answers one of our questions that we had from the previous story. The mom is not in the picture. I brought the whole situation up with my dad the other day. I told him that I was disappointed in them as parents and how I felt as if they failed me. I told him that if this was my child, I would at least have talked to them and most likely gotten a therapist involved. My dad told me that I never expressed a need for a therapist, so he did not know that I needed one. As a parent, if you can't take initiative to take action when your kid needs help, what the fuck are you doing? You can't rely on a kid to always know when they need help and exactly what they need. That's your job as a parent. And I told him that I was a child and had no idea what I needed and that my parents should have guided me. So am I the a-hole for being angry at my parents even though I did not express a need for help? Bro, no. You have every right to be mad at your parents. To be completely honest, I don't know why you're not in no contact with them. Like, this is fucking evil, bro. Just absolutely evil. Oh, what a terrible reaction from the mom. What a terrible reaction from the dad. Ugh, that shit is just so disgusting, man. It's your job to give your kids what they need, not what they want. It's just so stupid. If you walk around expecting your kid to tell you everything that kid needs, you're a dog shit parent. Yeah, if I were in the father's shoes, I would apologize so fast and try to schedule family therapy. That's like the only answer. I think if your kid comes to you and lets you know, like, hey, there was a situation I was put in where I was unsafe, you as the parent need to take full responsibility for that. You can't cover all your bases and whatnot, but like, that is literally your responsibility as a parent, especially during the ages between 6 to 11 years old. And you failed. He should feel like a failure as a parent. I think that's the only reaction you can have to your kid telling you something like that. I hope there's some retribution here coming for OP. Although, actually, just kidding. I remember the title of this. I think it gets worse. So here is the original post that is kind of centered around, I'm guessing, the title here. It was posted August 16th, 2025. Posted exactly a year and a half after the second background post. Editor's note: to clear up confusion, OOP's son was stillborn at 32 weeks into the pregnancy. That's what my son of 32 weeks means. Oh no. My son of 32 weeks passed away very recently. We knew it was going to happen, so we invited our closest family to say goodbye to him at the hospital. I've always had a very difficult relationship with my dad, but I decided that this was an important thing for him to be a part of. I also needed someone who could take care of our 3-year-old son at home while we were at the hospital and I was giving birth to our stillborn son. Damn. He calls me the day before he arrives, asking when I expect to give birth. I tell him that I do not know exactly, since the birth is induced and it can take anywhere between hours to days for my body to react to the medication. He responds, well, I need to let my work know how long I will be away, so I need a better time frame than that. It's just so brain dead. Hey, I know you're having probably the most traumatic procedure that you possibly can have, and that the way the procedure runs makes it unpredictable to expect when you have said traumatic procedure. But you know what? Your time frame just isn't working for me. The fuck? I repeat myself, as I literally do not know when I'll go into labor, but he keeps pressing me for a more precise answer with quotes like, the hospital must know, or just ask a doctor, they will know, etc. In the end, my husband has to grab the phone and tell my dad to figure it out with his work. My dad then arrives with his girlfriend and is, throughout the entire day, extremely visibly distraught. I think to myself, wow, he really cares, and I feel incredibly bad for him. But I also notice some strange behavior from him. Throughout the 3 hours he was there, he just places himself in a corner, in a complete zombie state. He doesn't once console me or my husband. He doesn't once take the initiative to go for a walk with our 3-year-old son or talk to him. He just sits there without a single word, and I have to handle my son while I am also trying to arrange paperwork with the hospital about my stillborn baby. The only thing my dad tells me that day is, you should probably get home to the 3-year-old's name. He is very confused and he needs you. Hey man, I'm sure she would be if she didn't have to push out her stillborn baby. I can't believe that. That is the fucking dumbest thing I have ever heard. The fact that she hasn't punched this dad in the throat yet is astonishing. This husband has to be a better man than me, because this dad would have been kicked out and possibly beat down by this point. At this point, I had just given birth to my son 3 hours prior, and prior to that, been hospitalized for bleeding. My dad then ends up walking out of the room and taking the elevator down. My husband, being a bit worried about him, follows and asks him what is going on. My dad then looks at him and says, girlfriend's name, and I broke up. My husband doesn't react much with other than telling him he is sorry. My husband also decides to keep it from me for a time being because I'm dealing with enough grief at that point. Later in the day, we all return home. My dad is still motionless on the couch, staring into the room. His girlfriend gets up to use the bathroom, and he then turns to me with tears in his eyes and drops the bomb on me as well. We broke up, but I don't want to talk about it right now. Clearly, he was trying to keep this announcement a secret from his now ex, since he waited to tell me until she left the room. Wait, then why the fuck is she even there? Did they like break up on the car ride down? And even if they did, bro, this isn't about you. In that moment, I can't take it anymore. I glare at him and tell him I cannot handle this right now and I need you to leave. Don't contact me. I needed my dad that day. My mom passed away some time ago and my husband's parents live halfway across the world. I needed my dad more than I had ever needed him, and instead of embracing me, telling me he loves me, telling me he loves our son, comforting me, he is lost in his own grief over his fucking breakup. I don't even know if a single tear that day was shed for my son. At the same time, I can't feel but bad for him. But he couldn't have waited a couple of days to tell me about this. Why did I need to know on that day? I'm probably an a-hole, I really don't know, but I needed to vent it out. Nah, dude, it sounds like you maybe should have gotten rid of your family a long time ago. But man, if this isn't the cherry on top, I don't know what can be, bro. This is fucking insane. Insane. What do you mean your whole ass daughter has to birth her stillborn child, but God forbid you get broken up with? Sorry guys, priority numero uno is this narcissist ass dad who got broken up with. Nah, dude, go no contact and stay no contact. That's not a man I want around my children, by the way. If you're this selfish, I can never expect you to actually have my child's best interests in mind over your own. Because that's what an adult does when they're in charge of a child. They put the child's best interests above their own. You want to know why? Because they're a fucking child, bro. There is one more update to this as well as relevant comments. Someone asks, has your dad always been like this? Your dad strikes me as a very selfish person. OOP replied, we have a very, very strained relationship. When I lost my mom as a teenager, he also engulfed himself in grief and forgot to care for his 4 kids. That also answers my previous question about it's the entire family, which like, I kind of get it. Honestly, y'all, like that would be like me asking my family to come to my place for Christmas instead of at my parents where we usually connect at. That being said, I don't think they should blame OP, but I kind of understand like not changing the Christmas location for one person. And who knows, we don't know if it's accommodating or anything like that. Sorry, that was just such a random side note, but that was information that I wanted. I had to arrange my mom's funeral because he couldn't handle it. He never once asked how his kids were doing, never once checked in on us. Yeah, I think the dad is just extremely selfish and narcissistic for sure, bro. We do have an update, but it's really, really small. It was made on the same post, August 17th, 2025, the next day. My dad called today 4 times. I did not want to talk to him, so I asked my husband if he could do it. I was genuinely afraid something had happened. My dad used 30 seconds on asking how we are. The conversation then immediately turned into him complaining about his now ex. When he started telling my husband about how he was already signed up for a dating site because now he needs to find a new girlfriend, he hung up. That's insane activity. Dog, read the room. Your daughter low-key went no contact with you. What do you mean you're calling them to vent about how you're a slut? Insane. My dad called my grandmother and complained how difficult I was being during his visit at the hospital because I didn't ask why he was so sad. I have blocked my dad from every possible contact and I will never let him near my family again. I mean, good call, OP. Holy shit, bro. Her father has the EQ of a turnip. What a thoughtless creature. I agree. Coming in the Nile. That is a crazy username. Okay.